Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Radcliffe. I'm the Director of Discipleship and Church Innovation for the Reformed Church in America.
And I'm Billy Norden, the Retirement and Financial Education Coordinator for the Board of Benefit Services of the Reformed Church in America, Inc.
Wow, Inc. That's the official title.
That's the official one.
So it's been a little bit since we've seen you all. We have decided to take this summer to do a summer series where we're focusing on personal well-being. We know that a lot of clergy, this is sort of our slower season. It's less of a sprint and a little bit more of a trot to practice ministry in a holistic way. And so we want to offer a couple of different interviews, a couple of different resources that are available to you. We want to talk a little bit about what it means to be holistically healthy. And so on this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about one of Billy's particular passions as he works with the Board of Benefit Services. We're talking about student loan forgiveness. Is there anything you think we should talk about?
Yeah, well-being is a holistic thing, right? So we're talking about spiritual, emotional, physical, financial. There's a lot of areas, and it's not one or the other, right? This is a holistic thing that we need to be tending to as ministers. And so we want to try to cover as much ground as possible.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the episode.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Leadership Jumpstart. We have an exciting episode with a couple of great guests here to talk about some really practical and good news in the ministry setting. We want you to know about their journey and also how it might impact you as well.
We're excited. Let's dive in.
All right. So we've got Mike and Jewel here with us, both ministers in the Reformed Church in America. And we'll kind of introduce you a little bit more in the subtext as we put this out online about who you are and where you're serving. But we just want to dive right into your experience. So you all have some good news that we'll get to about your student loans, but tell us a little bit about the origin story. Tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to get student loans. What were you thinking or not thinking at the time? And then, we can maybe dive into the practical nature. What was it like as you actually started in ministry and had to handle those student loans at the same time? So, Jewel, I'll invite you to start, and I'll invite Mike to add in after that.
Okay, great. So my student loans came from my children went to college, and we got Parent Plus loans. And so at the time, my thinking was, so clearly my thinking is different now, but when my children, you know how you want the best for your children, and so whatever it takes, you are going to do that. And so that's how how student loans started. And then I went to started seminary in 2008. And so then I had my own student loans. And I tried to minimize them, but still, my thought was, it was a 5-year program wanting to get through seminary. And I got some scholarships, but just not enough. So that's how my student loans came into being. And what made all of them eligible was that when I combined consolidation. When I consolidated my loans, then they all became eligible for student loan forgiveness. And so, but once you start to really see like how much they're adding up to, I then started looking for, I heard about I heard about the loan forgiveness program. And so I then started investigating that.
Yeah, and I love your story because it's all good stuff, right? It's wanting the best for your kids. It's investing in yourself and following your call. But those student loans do have a downside, right? And we don't always know when we're signing up. So thank you. Mike, what about you?
You don't really realize it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I started, I had an undergrad in criminal justice from early 2000s. And so that was my original student loans that I was working on. And then when I was about 30, the Lord called me into ministry.
Oh.
And so it had been 8 years since I had graduated Grand Valley State University in Allendale, Michigan.
A little plug to you.
Yep. And I really was trying to avoid having to go back to school. But that was really the only option that existed. And so, and was just really like I knew what God was calling me to. And so, okay, gonna go in resident at Western. And my wife and I, we had 2 kids with a third one on the way.
Oh boy.
And so looking at how do I cover the expenses of school? And it was about a 45-minute drive one way. So, and then also bills, the reality that bills don't stop when you go to school.
Yeah, right.
And so I ended up taking out a large amount of student loans for my 3 years at seminary, and it was a big number when it was all over. So, but that was scary, knowing that I was taking out that much. But I also knew that even though I didn't know how it was going to work, that God, this is what God was calling me to, and He was going to provide. So, that's kind of how I got to where I was.
Yeah, that's helpful. So Mike, remind me again the timeline. So you went to seminary in early 2000s, is that what you said?
2012, graduated in 14.
Okay. And then Jewel, you started your journey in 2008. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, and I did the hybrid program.
Okay. I think what's important is just neither of you fit like the traditional student loan mentality. Do you know what I mean? Like the narrative has been, it's only young people who have student loans, and that's why the economy is hard for them. I just think it's really important to elevate that this is kind of a normalized conversation across all generations. It's not just younger people who are still kind of thinking about loan forgiveness and having student debt. I feel like I just learned something here, Jewel, that you just shared, which is that anyone who has those parent loans, if you consolidate them with student debt, then they are available for PSLF.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
That was really a good lesson.
So that was, it was actually a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So as you all carried those student loans into those early days of ministry, and even more recently, what was the impact of that on your not only your daily finances but your well-being?
Great question.
Well, as I am a little older than Mike, I was, kind of had this thought of, oh my God, in terms of, like retiring. And so prior to the pandemic, so I was working in education. And so prior to the pandemic, I was paying $1,500 a month on my student loans.
Wow.
And that was a huge impact. And yeah, that was just a huge impact. So yeah.
I can't imagine having an additional, that's my mortgage. Like that's not even your mortgage. That's like insane.
And not only is it insane, but most of the $1,500 a month was going to interest.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's just devastating when you look at those numbers, right? And it feels like you're swimming upstream.
Yes.
What about you, Mike?
I consolidated my loans too from my undergrad, put it all into one, so it was just one bill. But I was going to have a similar payment as Jewel, and so one of the things that was out there was the pay as you earn. And so I took advantage of that, and it was based off number of dependents and what your income was. So that was able to. I don't know how I would have made it if it wasn't for something like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know how. With 3 kids, and then we ended up with 5. That would have been really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
But that helped tremendously over years in ministry here.
And I would imagine with a setup like that, where it might benefit to keep the payment small, but would in that situation it extend it into the future quite a ways?
Yes. Yeah, I mean the balance wasn't really going down much. So yes, there was that. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to be that 90-year-old who just paid off his student loans. So that's what I thought my future was going to hold.
Yeah.
All right. So whoever wants to go for it, how did you learn about the public student loan forgiveness program?
Oh, I don't know if I can tell you exactly, except You just got to get that given the amount of student loans, and I was looking for a way.
Mm.
And I was in education, so um, yeah, I can't tell you the specifically how I learned. I just know that I was reading. I read everything about student loans. Given my situation, I read everything about student loans, and so I knew that I would be eligible. Um, but then the amount of time that you need to pay in. Things have earlier when my children were in school, my teens were in school, then you know how you sort of you do forbearance.
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
use forbearance and it makes the loans add up.
Yep.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah. Well, it was something that I'd always heard of, and that was, but I can remember what I knew of the program. Originally, churches, uh, clergy, or was not part of that group that qualified for this. And then I know also in the early years there was whatever amount was forgiven would be counted as income and then be taxable for that tax year as taxable income. And um, so I heard some horror stories with people not knowing that, and then all of a sudden they get this big bill, which would still be less money, but when you get a several $1,000 bill you weren't ready for.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
scary.
so I was watching those things, thinking, okay, if it's forgiven, I need this much to pay for taxes, and trying to calculate all those things. And then I think it was you guys put out, it was about a year and a half ago. There was a webinar um, on this. And so I signed up for it because, like Jewel, okay, what's the new, what's the latest? And
Yeah.
that's where I kind of learned about those changes that took place where churches now qualify and it was retroactive, and that whatever amount is forgiven is not taxable anymore. So they no longer tax that. So I remember asking those questions in that Zoom call, like, are you sure? Because I'm not going to fill anything out unless,
Yeah.
and she kind of walked us through the steps. And then I had about 6 months left for that to qualify. And so I just waited and then began the process.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible. So, yeah, what Mike is referring to is the Board of Benefit Services partnered with one of our resource partners to offer a webinar where we could not only educate about updates for people who might be eligible, but then they also offered a service to essentially help walk you through the process because they said this is going to be cumbersome, it's going to be frustrating, and it really helps to have somebody who knows where those obstacles are
Yeah.
going to be and to help you get through. So is it the case that both of you were able to use that resource to navigate the system?
Do you mean LSS?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. And I sing the praises of April Sanderson. I mean, to the high. I don't know which one who you had as a counselor, but I had April Sanderson, and she was absolutely great.
So what were some of the things that April was most helpful with in that process?
So for me, so first of all, as I told you, prior to the pandemic, my payment was $1,500 a month, and then in 22, I retired, and so my income became less. But things were very confusing. They kept putting out new they just kept putting
Yeah,
out
it was like
conflicting
new
information.
updates every month. I am
Yes,
Yeah.
with
yes.
you. It
And
was
so
very confusing.
so the first thing that April did was to help me figure out how to reduce my payment. And
Mm,
we actually went through the steps together. And
yeah.
so that was the first thing that happened, that my payment got reduced. And then after that, she just we met maybe monthly every 6 weeks, probably for 18 months,
Wow.
because there were all of these steps to I getting all the forms filled out for whatever my nonprofit work experience was, um, chasing down people to get that done, and then a lot of times you would submit stuff, and then it would like go into a black hole.
Yes. You're like waiting for the government to find it.
So she did a lot of hand holding. I mean, we actually would be on a call, and she would show me like I'd share my screen and she would show me how to upload certain things and also telling me, okay, this is what it's going to take. Like, this is how long it's going to take. Or she would tell me when I would need to call Mohila or,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Mike, how was your experience?
Uh, it really, for me, it went exactly as advertised. She told us this is the forms you need to fill out. I saved them on my laptop. I printed a couple copies off for my file, and then I just waited for to get to the qualifying. I think you had to have 120 payments, qualifying
Yep.
payments. And so I waited to make sure that I wanted to make sure I was more than qualified. Like, think I might, but I'll wait. And so I waited till I was pretty confident I was over the benchmark there and filled out the paperwork. And she said, your first letter will be that it will be declined. Don't worry. A few months later, you'll get a second letter and everything. It worked exactly that way. So I filled out the forms and it did feel a little like I think I did it. I mean, that was just, I think I'm good, and there was no like, hey, you did the right things, or here's your letter, you just, there was nothing like that. So it really submitted the forms, waited, got the letter, waited a few more months. It was 8 months from when I filed the paperwork to when I got the email with the paperwork saying that the loans were forgiven. So
And when
you
you
just
say
had
the
to wait.
paperwork, Mike, when you say the paperwork, you're talking about there's PSLF paperwork that you have to submit saying you would like to be a part of it, right?
Yep.
And
Yes.
so that's what you first filed. And then there's another filing that you're talking about that gets declined. What is that? Can you just tell people what is that first thing that's getting declined? What is that?
I'm not sure what it was. But it was about how many qualifying payments and if you qualified for all that. And um, so the first letter was simply saying, no, you didn't qualify. But our instructor told us, you will get this letter and it will say this. Like,
Hmm.
you can throw it away. Don't worry about it. And so it was just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
wild to me that's like a known part of the process, right? You will get declined, but that doesn't mean you're declined. And how
yeah,
amazing it is then to have that sort of experienced, wise voice to sort of guide you through the program so you don't get dejected and
Discouraged.
discouraged in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
yeah. And I saved because I think it was a PowerPoint presentation she had. And so I saved that. So I would just I went back and went through the slides to make sure I was following all the correct steps. And yeah, I mean, it was an amazing help.
Oh, that's so awesome. So let's do the big reveal. If you're comfortable with it, let us know about how you found out that you had completed the program, and if you're willing, to share the amount that was forgiven.
So let's see, a year ago, June, I got I got a letter. I guess I don't know if it was a letter. I think it must have been a letter. I don't know if it was a letter or an email saying, okay, now we're going to review what you've submitted. So that's what I had been told that's what would happen. We're going to review what you submitted. Um, and then in November, I got a email saying that I had qualified.
Wow.
And then though, um, I didn't get an official letter until March that said officially my loans had been forgiven.
Oh, did you cry? What was your response?
Because April had told me, really, it's like April had said, okay, Jewel, don't panic, it's gonna happen. And to be honest, I still, once you hear the amount of the loans that I had forgiven, I even, I like when I give gratitude, it's just still comes up. Like I didn't jump up and down because what happens after that, I was also due a refund.
Mm.
And so I still had to interact with them in terms, and then until
Wow.
they sent me the refund, which they sent me maybe at the end of April or the beginning of, I think that's when it was. Until they sent me the refund, I was not, it's like, okay, the process was not complete. And
Yep.
yes, So the amount of loans that I got forgiven was $190,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So you can
That's
imagine
awesome.
that's a house.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a house. And so that's what so when I was looking at, okay, I'm going to retire and then I'm going to have this house to pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do I pay this house off when initially at $1,500 a month? And see, that's what the problem was. The reason it was so high is that the interest at that level
Yeah.
was eating up all so it wasn't like I didn't pay any loans back. I did. I paid tens of thousands of dollars back, but the interest just kept growing.
It just kept creeping up.
Yeah.
Jewel, I just have a question before Mike, you share, you do your big reveal. Jewel, did your children know the amount of debt that you had taken on for them?
No, because I didn't take out that much.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It was,
Yeah.
especially when my children went to school. My son graduated in 1999, and my daughter graduated in 2005, I think, from high school. Yeah, 2005. So at that time, the amount of loans that I took out was not anywhere near that.
It wasn't that
So,
high.
yeah. And they took out their own student loans.
Yeah.
So, so that what made for that amount was really the interest.
Mhm.
Yeah. The interest just adding up and adding up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that.
And
Mike, what
the
about?
other thing you should know is the secret is, did I tell anybody how much student loans I had? Oh no.
Right. No,
It's
no.
an embarrassment. It's it's just like, because you don't want to be subjected to the criticism of people. So you just like put
Right.
your head down and say, God, you got to help me here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, what about for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I similarly got a letter saying that I qualified after the rejection letter. And it was like, okay. And then I think I got an email saying that something along the lines of being approved. And it was still just hard to believe. So I can remember jumping on the student loan, I think Nelnet, jumping on the website and like trying to, okay. And even that website's a little hard to navigate and find documents. And then what I actually got an email while I was at General Synod,
Oh, wow.
just here in
Oh,
Tucson.
wow.
And I had an email and it was like, here it is. This all qualified.
Yes.
Your balance is zero. It's all been forgiven. And again, I was just like, is this real?
Yeah.
This
It has to feel
doesn't.
like spam.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to just, I don't know, accept, right? Like this is actually happening. And so again, I logged into my student loan provider and
Yes.
and no payments due, your balance is zero. And I'm just like, I think this is real. And
Yes.
yeah, so I was really excited. I think I texted my wife right away and like this happened.
Yes.
So yeah, and well, Julie, you had me beat, but I think I was in the 115 range.
Wow.
So which about 80% of that was probably seminary part. But yeah, it was a large number that
Yeah.
yeah, gratitude is a big word.
Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
thing is when I wrote the email, the other part of it is the shame and sort of embarrassment you have about student loans. Because when I wrote Billy the thank you email, um, I said that my loans were over $100,000. Like I wouldn't dare put, it just
Yeah.
seems like because there are lots of people who think, oh, you shouldn't, loans shouldn't be forgiven. So there's that component of it. But I mean, you can just imagine
Yeah.
that, what a huge difference it made to be able, and it's not like I didn't, I've worked in public service pretty much all of my life.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jewel, I'm glad you named that. Yeah, I work with a lot of pastors, especially around debt. So I get to see a lot of student loan balances, and you're not alone. And by you two naming those big numbers of student loans, I think that's really powerful. And I hope it is permission giving for other ministers to say, like, okay, I am not that unique. I am not alone in this, and this might be an option for me too, because it's more common than you would think, but we don't talk about it because of all of those things you named.
Yeah.
So I am really grateful that you both were willing to share your stories here, because our hope is that more and more ministers hear about it and take advantage as long as this program exists. Anna, do you have any
and I think, oh, sorry, as Jewel said, I mean, I paid 23 years on my student loans.
Yeah.
I started paying in 03.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, I mean, it is weird because it's weird to, okay, it got forgiven and I didn't have to repay all that. But I also know I've paid a lot.
Yeah.
But I also took the loan out.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that internal wrestling that is the reality, as Jewel mentioned. And so,
yes.
Just really grateful. And I don't think I know if it wasn't for the webinar, I'd probably still be making payments right now. So I wouldn't have been able to get that good information and be equipped to be able to do it. So I hope if it can help others, then that's good.
We hope so too. Yeah. Go Babs.
Yes.
Yes.
I just was thinking through as you guys were talking, we're all ministers and we talk and preach about grace all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep hearing you reiterating, it didn't feel real. It doesn't feel real. What an act or what an experience of like tangential grace from a place where we would not expect it. Right? Like
Right.
that's just not a common place that we would expect
Yeah.
it. And so I just, in some ways, for whatever tangible way you're reminded of God's goodness in this, I am just so excited and grateful that you both are kind of experiencing that cognitive dissonance just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I hope that for all of us, I'm also, Billy and I have talked about this several times. I'm also paying towards PSLF, and I can't wait to high five both of you when I see you in a few months and say I made it. Because this is, it's a very doable process. And both of you, I think, have brought it from this very high level into this very practical, approachable next step.
Well, I think, I mean, I worked in the financial world in my 20s, and so I understood money. I understood all these things. And then taking those loans out during my seminary years, I was so uncomfortable doing it.
Yep.
I was just really like, this is not smart.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was making wise financial decisions, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was God saying, this is where I want you, do this. And when I graduated seminary, and I went back to work for a little while before I could find a call, I remember going back and I had 63 cents in my checking account.
Wow.
All our bills were paid. We had food in our fridge. Like all our needs were met, and I had 63 cents.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And so I can remember just how God was faithful through all of it. And now here, right, fast forward, 10, 11 years and still seeing how God is, hey, I told you it was okay then.
Yes.
I took care of you there. I'm still taking care of you, even if it is through some weird government program. Right? God is still providing. So it's just, yes, where you're humbled and grateful. Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing, for your ministry. Really, this is going to impact more lives by you sharing your story. So we're really grateful and appreciate your time, especially before holiday weekend.
Yeah, well, thank you. And really thanks to Bob's, because one of the things that really does happen, those emails you get constantly push support for pastors. And I would encourage pastors to take advantage, to look, don't think that you know, but investigate and see what is possible.
Yes.
That's such good advice.
Yep.
Serving those who serve.
And reach out with good questions too. I mean, I know I've emailed you several times, Billy, over the years, like, hey, I got a question. How does this work? Even on different things. So you guys are great, and really thankful for the support we get.
Oh, thank you both.
Wow, glowing reviews.
Glowing reviews.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, we're going to let you go. Thank
Thanks
you
for
all so
joining
much.
us on Leadership Jumpstart, you guys.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
That was amazing.
So good.
What are your reflections after hearing both of their stories?
I was thinking about how we talked a little bit about taking this tangential kind of ethereal concept and making it really practical. That's the number one takeaway for me. Both of them, they had a very different strategy, right? Jewel needed someone to practically meet with her one step at a time. Mike downloaded a PowerPoint, kept it, and just followed the boxes, checked the boxes. But I think both strategies, like if you can make either one, I know for myself, I'm someone that needs to have the meeting scheduled. I got to get the homework done before I get to that meeting. But that's all it takes. Like they tell you how to fill out the forms.
Yes, having the roadmap is really critical for that.
Yeah. Well, and even Mike said it, like there's some things that he kind of knew, but he didn't know officially. And so I think that's the other question is, even if you think that you don't qualify, there may be others that you know that qualify. There's no harm in just getting familiar with the knowledge.
Try to get the word out in the community.
Yeah. So those are the two pieces. I'm curious. So they talked a lot about this kind of support program. We didn't name it. What is the program that Bob's offers? Is there additional support that you guys are
So we've had various resource partners over the years, but we've recently opened up this exciting program with Fidelity. Fidelity is the custodian of our retirement program, but they offer so many other services. So we just opened up this service with an organization called Summer that they facilitate. And Summer is essentially experts in the public student loan forgiveness program. And so Fidelity's got a part of their website dedicated to this. So you could just go and find the resources right there. But there's also more in-depth things. So if you need that support, that personal help, they have that service to make sure you get through this program successfully. There is a small fee, but Bob's wants to cover that.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're going to reimburse you for that fee if you decide to do that if you're one of our participants. So we really highly encourage you to check this out or email us if you need somewhere to get started.
That's so good. I hope that you feel inspired. I feel inspired. If you are someone from student debt, we talked about it. You can be anyone from any generation, any walk of life. If you're clergy, you qualify for PSLF. If you served in any kind of a nonprofit,
and it's complex, right?
Yeah.
Like there's emotions in it. There's the shame, the judgment. There's the conversation, but
take advantage of it. Yeah. We didn't ask them. If I could ask them what their future looks like now, I think that would be a really inspiring opportunity.
Yeah, I think we'd hear the word freedom used, right? Free to make choices rather than always thinking about how am I going to be able to pay this off into maybe my 90s, is what Mike said.
Yeah. Oof. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of Leadership Jumpstart. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
See ya.